Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as VRTrader.com. He was the #1 U.S. stock market timer in the January 2020 edition of Timer Digest. He's speaking to us from Arizona. Welcome back to the show.
Pleasure. Thank you, Jim.
Mark, do the U.S. markets look like they're headed higher or lower right now?
A little bit of both. We're running into a little short-term indigestion here. Markets are overbought, and some very short-term cycles came in our work. So we're on the bear side here short-term. It could be, a couple days, couple weeks, and we'll sort of gauge it. But you got a very tenuous news environment out there, a lot going on with China, encroachment into the South China Sea, their encroachment into the freedoms in Hong Kong. There's some conference about to start in Beijing regarding that. Of course, the U.S. acting in terms of not wanting U.S. China stocks listed on the U.S. markets. Trump made some declaration about that. I've been talking and speculating for a while that, war clouds, could be forming here between the two countries. Not something we want to see, but, there's a lot of potential risk there, whether it's now or down the road, but, short term things are heating up. So there's also some rumors out there about, or discussion about the Hong Kong dollar, that if certain changes are made politically, that, those dollars might have to be dumped for U.S. dollars, and, a big mess going on with the whole China scene. So that is part and parcel to the fundamental background. And as far as technically, again with some short-term cycles here, I'm sort of bidding on a market pullback, and then we'll take it from there.
Do you have an overall outlook for the stock markets?
I have to give the volatility really is the best answer here. I think there's going to be a lot of swings here. You got the Fed behind the market move, from the money printing situation, their ability to come in and buy stocks and ETFs and so forth. So, my gut feeling is overall they're going to try to take the market higher, but there could be some huge volatility in between. We could get huge swings this year, big up into new highs, and then down big before the election, and then who knows how that's going to unfold, and then up again. But I think the forces, the powers that be here want higher stock prices to keep sentiment more positive than negative. I don't think they want to see another market crash here unless it's unavoidable by some external event they have no control over, But I would say net higher prices, but a lot of volatility in between. But you got to trade them here. I mean, it could be wild for the next couple of years. I mean, we could go to new highs, have a substantial correction, and then back up again into new high ground. And a lot of this, of course, is contingent on the economics out there. A lot of uncertainty about the recovery. Not only the Wuhan virus situation, but also how the economies actually improve or don't improve, but that has to be weighed again against the government's intervention into the financial markets. So I'm trying to stay optimistic, but realizing you got to trade the swings.
We'll have more with Mark Leibovit right after this.
Aben Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines. Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlin, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mark Leibovit. Mark, how is gold looking?
It's looking a little bearish here to me, and we're actually positioned in inverse ETF. Many of my clients aren't too happy when you get bearish on gold. They assume that it always goes up, but our work is saying be careful. Way too much optimism in the shares and in the metal here. And not to say it won't go higher. Originally, I had mentioned on these broadcasts that it was more positive toward the end of the year than this time of the year. So it wouldn't surprise me to see gold down a couple $100 an ounce in the weeks ahead. We'll see how that unfolds. I think net we're probably going to go higher, but I think they got to shake out some of the bulls.
Silver, does it face the same picture, and people are still wondering why it's so much lower than gold right now?
I really don't have an answer for that. You can scratch your head about this for the last couple of decades in terms of silver underperforming. I think if you look back almost 20 years ago, silver is almost at the same price that it is now as it was back then. I mean, it goes up and down, but net it doesn't go anywhere. Don't have any reason for that other than the conspiratorial viewpoints out there that regarding the manipulation of the silver market and the paper contracts being traded there, suppressing the market, and whether that was government initiated or it was done by other forces. But in theory, it should start coming back at some point, and I don't know how high is high. Of course, there's some extraordinary numbers that have been predicted. We're taking it a day at a time. So right now, I think you got to pull back here, and somewhere in the 12 to 14, 15 range, and then maybe if we get lucky and gold takes off at the end of the year, maybe we get it back above 18 into the $20 plus area. But we're technical, and if we see something that says it's going to go a lot further than that, we'll certainly jump on board.
We'll have more with Mark Leibovit right after the break.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlin, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mark Leibovit. Mark, what's the palladium market doing?
It's been correcting, with the stock market pretty much, since the big high that we saw in the stock market came down, up again, down, up again. It's like if you put the chart up of palladium against the S&P or other indexes, it almost mirrors it to a certain extent. So it's industrial related. Obviously, a lot of this has to do with the battery-powered cars, and the perception short-term apparently was that if crude oil is so cheap, maybe we don't need as many of those type of cars. That also affected the lithium market as well. I think it's temporary, but it's sort of trading with the I sort of inverse to the crude market in a certain respect. But overall, I'm positive. I just think right now you're running through this back and forth trading environment. So I think you got to trade it with the stock market, thinking it's going to go up when Tesla and the rest of the market goes up, and it's going to pull back when Tesla pulls off. But I think the future palladium, and I know we were going to talk about lithium as well. I think they're sort of tied together, so overall positive, but right now they're just trading with the stock market.
So how is lithium doing?
It's almost the same pattern. You know, we took a profit in it. We're not in it at the moment. The ETF for lithium, it's recovering nicely. It's moved up, actually on a relative basis a little better than the palladium. I would say bullish, but also tradable with the stock market, much as palladium.
What are you seeing for crude?
Positive on the crude oil market, but mostly crude oil shares in the Western Hemisphere. I think there's going to be a lot of political pressure. We've talked about this before, perhaps embargoes, government subsidies for oil companies, whatever is necessary to get the crude oil market higher. But, you know, there could be external events. Conflict with China could unfold, or an Iranian conflict could unfold. You know, there could be other events that could drive it higher besides, you know, political or economic forces. Frankly, the big shakeout that we saw in crude oil when it went minus $30 a barrel, to me was like a generational type low, and that may be actually more bullish if they cleaned everybody out of the crude oil market. So my gut feeling is over the next couple of years, crude oil could go way back to where it was, if not higher. You know, it could be $60, $70, $80 a barrel. Who knows? Maybe even over $100 a barrel in the next couple of years. So a lot of it's tied, of course, to short-term events there as well. But I'm more bullish on the shares, the companies that would benefit, that are very depressed, that would do better once crude oil is, you know, moving higher than I am the crude oil itself. But crude oil should track higher, and I'd be biased to the North American shares that would, and the companies that would benefit once they can get back into profitability.
Joseph Schachter from the Schachter Energy Report said even if North America declines because more people looks like are going to be working from home on a permanent basis, they said most of Asia and Africa, the demand for oil there is still going to boom because they're mostly blue-collar economies.
I can't disagree with that. I mean, I'm not a student of the foreign demand of crude oil. I'm just looking at the charts and the way this whole situation unfolded. I mean, it was a manipulated event, just as, in my opinion, the whole Wuhan virus was a manipulated event. I mean, you know, look at the markets shaking dramatically the way they have, and the dramatic recovery that we've seen since then. And, of course, time will tell how much volatility we're going to see going forward, but the shakeout in crude, the shakeout in the stocks, you know, these were no accidents. We know that the crude oil market decline had to do much with what was going on between Russia and Saudi Arabia, and we also, you know, can suspect other foul play in that market in terms of manipulation of the contracts and so forth. So, you know, basically, I'm bullish because technically, and from a contrarian's point of view, I just saw it as a big shakeout. You know, like any other markets are going to trade, but I think you've seen generational lows in crude, and meaning over the months and years ahead, we're going to see crude move higher and potentially even into all-time highs above that record $140 a barrel level that we saw a few years ago. That's possible in my work.
Is the uranium market still on the move?
Still like uranium, just like palladium and lithium. You know, we play the ETFs there, Jim. So there's one particular ETF that we've traded. Looks a little trady toppy here. Pulled back a little bit, had a nice run. And I'm looking at the ETF that tracks the uranium stocks. But overall bullish. I think there's going to be more and more interest in nuclear power. I know it's been sidelined for so long, so much political pressure against it, but I think, you know, ultimately that's our energy of last resort, and it's dependable, always there. I mean, we've got ships at sea, you know, military ships that run on nuclear fuel could potentially run forever on nuclear fuel. So that's really our solution, big picture. A lot of people don't like nuclear energy, but spacecraft have them, warships have them. We're going to have to get used to it. That's really the solid source for the future. I mean, crude oil is great, solar energy is great, but nuclear is infinite.
Do you have favorite sectors you're following right now?
Yeah, the cannabis sector. I think we talked about this last week. You know, I can see it in my own subscriptions. When people start canceling newsletters, particularly related to cannabis, you're near a market bottom. So that was a good sign. But just technically, they were way oversold. We had a bear market in the cannabis sector, Canadian cannabis sector in particular, that started April of last year, and I think it ended. And many of them are roaring back here. Some of our best trades in the last few days have been on the cannabis side. So that's I guess one of my, if not my favorite sector at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, the cannabis stores were considered an essential service. They were kept open along with the liquor store, so perhaps no surprise there.
Yeah, there's also some interesting developments in the last couple of days. Aurora bought some big CBD company in the U.S., indicating that they're going to be doing a lot of business here. The stock exploded. Of course, it's really cheap compared to where it used to be, and you're just seeing some good business activity unfolding here, and also there's a lot of political pressure in the U.S. to get it legalized. A lot of this will depend on whether the Democrats, continue in their, or they get to gain control of the presidency, or they maintain control of the House next fall. There's a lot of push to legalize it. So, I'm not so much a proponent of cannabis recreational stuff. I got interested because of the medical aspect of it, which I think has a lot of benefit. But even so, a political move in favor of legalization will certainly help the industry.
And of course, with so much government aid being pumped out right now because of the virus crisis, they're going to need new revenue, and nothing like legal taxes on a product that people use anyway. Right.
Well, that was one of the big reasons that it gained so much popularity. And Colorado was the model state in the U.S. in terms of making some nice tax revenues off the sale. But the government has got their finger in the pie, so that's definitely an upside there. So I'm sure that's part and parcel to it too. But a little different model in the U.S. than Canada in terms of legalization, the way things go. But the trend's up. I mean, the cat's out of the bag. The horse is out of the barn. It's an industry that's going to gain more and more acceptance and usage as the years roll by. So many of the shares just got out of hand. Way overpriced, overvaluations, too much speculation, and now they settled back to more reasonable valuations. So the companies that start showing some real earnings, and there are a few out there that are starting to make some nice money now, and a few of those we have in our newsletter, those are the ones to look at.
Mark, thank you so much for chatting with us.
I'd love to do it. And may I make an offer for our newsletter, Jim, too?
Oh, absolutely.
For all your listeners, if you'd like to subscribe to vrtrader.com, we offer 50% off on any of our newsletters. If you just go to vrtrader.com and enter the promo code 2020 half off, just as it sounds, 2020 HALFOFF, you get 50% off any of the newsletters, and that's ongoing, not just a one-time sign up. So if you sign up for a year, you get the whole year.
Mark, thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, Jim.
My guest has been Mark Leibovit, editor and publisher of the Leibovit VR newsletters, also known as vrtrader.com. That's where you'll find the special offer. If you have any questions for Mark, you can send them to us at info@housestreet.com. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter at House Street. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HoweStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HoweStreet.com radio is a production of House Street Media Incorporated.